It bombed at the box office. It got beaten up by an old man in a Halloween costume. It literally killed a movie studio and was the not-so-proud winner of a Guinness World Record. So let's walk the plank and dive in to see what went wrong with Cutthroat Island. In 1995, Cutthroat Island set sail with grand ambitions as a potential blockbuster and rescuing the financially troubled Carolco Pictures. Even with past triumphs in films such as Terminator 2 Judgment Day, Total Recall and Basic Instinct, the studio was facing the challenge of overspending, placing everything on the line for what could be considered a lavish wedding gift from director Renny Harlin, known for Die Hard 2 and Cliffhanger at the time, to his new wife Geena Davis. Unfortunately, the film's fate seemed to be sealed from the start due to its notoriously troubled and chaotic production, with multiple rewrites and recasts, questionable lead casting decisions, a budget that soared far beyond expectations, and the director having to dig into his own pockets to partially fund the production. All these factors created an aura of failure around Cutthroat Island long before the film was released. As previously mentioned, during the production of Cutthroat Island, Geena Davis and director Renny Harlin were married. Despite Davis being primarily known for her work in light comedies and dramas and having no experience in action movies, Harlin managed to persuade producer Mario Casar to cast his wife in the pivotal role of Morgan Adams, the female lead, as he thought his wife had the potential to become an action-adventure star. To pay for Cutthroat Island, financially strained Carolco made some daring decisions. They stopped their only other project in production, Crusade, which featured Arnold Schwarzenegger, forfeiting the $13 million already invested in its development. This movie freed up additional funds that could be channeled into Renny Harlin's ambitious undertaking. Additionally, Carolco took the risky step of selling a $20 million interest in their upcoming films, Showgirls, Last of the Dogmen and Stargate, essentially leveraging the potential earnings of these movies to raise more capital for Cutthroat Island. The studio was clearly taking a massive gamble. With a substantial $60 million budget allocated to the film, their survival seemed to hinge on its success. However, this risk wasn't taken out of the benevolence or blind faith of the star power of Geena Davis, who I think is a good actress and I've loved a few of her films, but she wasn't a huge star like Demi Moore was or Jennifer Lawrence is today, for example. So instead, their confidence came from having one of Hollywood's most bankable stars from the previous decade attached to the project as the male lead. After successful films like Basic Instinct, Falling Down and Disclosure, Michael Douglas initially accepted the role of William Shaw under two specific conditions. Firstly, filming had to start immediately as he was already committed to 1995's The American President. Secondly, upon learning about his co-star and the circumstances surrounding her acquisition of the role, Douglas insisted that his character must receive at least equal screen time as Davis's character. Initially, all the terms were agreed upon, but Douglas unexpectedly withdrew from the production at the last minute upon receiving an updated script. He cited the clause in his contract that expressed concern that his character's role had been diminished to accommodate a bigger role for Davis's character. Years later, Geena Davis revealed that when Douglas decided to quit, she also contemplated leaving the project. However, due to her contractual obligations and the delicate situation of being married to the director, she chose to stick with the film until its completion. Following Douglas's departure, Harlin faced the daunting task of searching for a replacement male lead, leaving him preoccupied and unable to provide input on set construction and script work. As a result, these crucial aspects were carried out without his direct involvement. So during his time in the USA, Harlin tried to attract a major star for the role of Shaw. However, despite his best attempts, actors such as Tom Cruise, Keanu Reeves, Russell Crowe, Liam Neeson, Jeff Bridges, Ralph Fiennes, Charlie Sheen, Michael Keaton, Tim Robbins, Daniel Day-Lewis and Gabriel Byrne all declined the part before the director eventually cast Matthew Modine. While Modine had gained recognition for his portrayal of United States Marine Corps Private Joker in Full Metal Jacket, his subsequent roles were of lower profile and nothing akin to the action hero character he was about to take on. I mean, I knew his face back then, but not his name without being reminded, and if it wasn't for Stranger Things, I would have forgotten he even existed. So of the film's two leads, Davis and Modine, neither of them had the star power to really lead a movie of this magnitude. When Harlin did eventually arrive at the Mediterranean Film Studios in Calcara, Malta, where a significant portion of indoor scenes were scheduled to be filmed, he was not happy with what he saw. Despite filming being mere days away from starting, he took the bold decision to halt production, leading to the postponement of principal photography. This called for costly rebuilding and extensive rewrites to address his concerns. In addition to the expenses incurred for the rebuilding and rewrites, the entire crew was placed on retainers. Once filming finally started, a string of unfortunate events, conflicts and accidents plagued the already expensive and over-budget production, creating what could almost be mistaken for a comedy of errors, except there was little laughter at Carolco as costs spiralled out of control. Within the first week of shooting, Cutthroat Island faced a significant setback when its original cinematographer, Oliver Wood, suffered a fall from a crane and landed on one of the water tanks, resulting in a broken leg. This incident forced a 7-day halt in filming until Wood was replaced by cinematographer Peter Levy. After a dispute, Renny Harlin made the decision to dismiss the chief camera operator, which in turn prompted more than 24 crew members to quit in solidarity. This mass exodus necessitated another pause in production until suitable replacements could be found. Then, as for the role of Mordechai Fingers, Oliver Reed was initially cast for a cameo. However, his involvement came to an abrupt end when he got into a bar fight and, while drunk, made inappropriate advances towards Geena Davis. Consequently, Reed was fired from the film, and although British character actor George Murcell took over the role, Reed still got paid for the part. Harlin insisted that the actors perform their own stunts whenever possible, leading to numerous minor accidents that required resetting the shots and restarting the filming. And because of this, it meant that scenes which a professional stuntman could have accomplished in one take took dozens and dozens of retakes. During promotional appearances for the film, Geena Davis frequently spoke about this demand from the director, showcasing clips of herself repeating basic stunts over and over again. Unfortunately, her commitment to doing her own stunts came at a heavy cost. On one occasion, she fell out of a window prematurely, tumbled down the roof, and narrowly escaped potentially severe spinal damage as she rolled under a carriage. At Pinewood Studios, another bizarre incident occurred when a pipe burst, resulting in raw sewage pouring into a water tank where the actors were meant to swim. This mishap forced filming to halt yet again, as the 800,000-gallon tank had to be drained, cleaned and refilled before production could resume. With mounting costs, Carolco were left with no choice but to seek funds from alternative sources. Sticking to the saying, in for a penny, in for a pound, Carolco fully committed themselves, ultimately financing Cutthroat Island with a whopping $115 million. However, this figure doesn't even account for the additional $1 million plus that Renny Harlin spent from his own pocket for a last-minute script rewrite during production and the filming of a couple of extra scenes to complete the movie. Harlin had no other option, as Carolco was deep in debt and could not afford to spend another dollar. Ultimately, Carolco had to file for Chapter 11 bankruptcy just a month before Cutthroat Island's release. Unfortunately, the reviews were far from what anyone involved in the production had hoped for, leaving the fate of the film hanging in the balance. Due to Carolco's financial troubles and MGM, the film's distributor, being in the midst of a sale, there was little support for Cutthroat Island at that critical time. Coming out in US theatres on December the 22nd, 1995, Cutthroat Island's release date was notably ill-timed. It only managed to secure the 13th spot at the box office and ultimately earned a meagre $10 million in global takings. To put this disappointing figure into perspective, let's have a look at the terrible Mel Brooks, Leslie Nielsen spoof Dracula Dead and Loving It. It also premiered on that very same day, and despite having a budget of just $10 million and entering the box office in 10th place, this film took $30 million worldwide. Describing Cutthroat Island as a box office bomb would be a significant understatement. Adjusting for inflation, the film stands as one of the biggest financial disasters in cinematic history, incurring an outstanding $147 million in losses. Its performance was so abysmal that it secured a place in the Guinness World Records as the largest box office bomb of all time. While rising production costs have made such deficits more common, Cutthroat Island, being nearly 30 years old, still remains firmly in the top 10 list of the biggest box office bombs ever. The film's catastrophic failure not only resulted in the downfall of Carolco, but also had a devastating impact on Geena Davis's career. So, to sum up what went wrong with this film, Cutthroat Island had no A-list star to anchor its large budget, a desperate film studio taking risks, many unfortunate and some avoidable production setbacks, a poorly timed release with minimal advertising, and an over-ambitious director all led to its demise. Thanks for watching. Check out our channel for more videos like this one. See you next time. Bye for now.